Greetings, friends. Gemini here with Stellarium for Astrologers instructional videos, the 2023 edition. In this 8th video of the series, we're going to explore the first half of the configuration window menu, the monkey wrench and the star over here on the left. Now, we looked at the help menu in the last video, video number 7. You can see I'm skipping this beautiful image of an astrolabe here, the astronomical calculations window. Let me show you what is there. Things like positions, ephemeris, etc. I'm wondering if I can export ephemeris data from Stellarium. Export ephemeris. Oh, that's for a different project that I'm working on, but that's intriguing. Eclipses. So much we can do in here, which is wonderful. And it's pretty advanced, and hopefully we can get there kind of at the very end of the series. So I'm skipping up here to this configuration window. You can see in the brackets F2, so I can either click that button to turn it on and off. I can click that button to turn it on and the X to turn it off, or I can use the F2 key on my keyboard. All right. As with all of these more advanced menus in Stellarium, there are many options or submenus across the top here of the tab. I'm on a Mac. I don't know if this looks a little different on the PC or in the Linux setup, but here it is on Mac OS. We're going to go through maybe these first 4 here to time today. All right. We're gonna have to kind of consistently come back and forth. All right, so let's start at the main, and we can see some things here like the program language, right? So we can change this to the language of choice. I wonder if that auto updates depending on where you are in the world. If not, and English is not your first language, hopefully you've already found that to change it. Sky, culture, language, right? Again, you can change language there. I want English because that's the only language I can speak somewhat fluently. All right, default options down here. Key. All right, so restore defaults. I'm not going to hit that because I'm going to be consistently changing Stellarium from its default setup. All right, so these keys are going to be very important. Save view and save settings. We'll get back to save view, but every time we make a change that we want to stick so that when we restart Stellarium, we don't have to go back and make that change again. We're going to come in here to the monkey wrench menu on the main screen and hit save settings. That key is like going to be one of your best friends and one that we utilize frequently from here forth, okay? Information is the next tab we have up here. Now this is a really important tab as well. Let me show you what happens when I click on a star like Deneb up here. Okay, first of all, you see everything changing. Why is that? Because time is moving, and so Deneb's position in the sky is moving. So let me hit pause here. A thing, by the way, that I often do when I come into Stellarium is I'll pause the clock. I don't know why you do what you do. I'm going to click Regulus over here, the Royal Star Regulus, which is currently westing. And look at all of this information that comes up. It's a double star, its magnitude, which is like its luminosity or brightness, 1.35, its absolute magnitude, its right ascension and declination at J2000, and its right ascension and declination on this date. Which one do you think I'm more interested in? HA, what is HA? Well, here we see it's hour angle and declination. So I don't even know what hour angle is. Get educated. Azimuth and altitude, ecliptic coordinates of J2000. What is J2000? We'll go read about it. It's this astronomer's thing. I don't want it. Okay, so even right here, I don't think I want catalog numbers. Okay, this comes into a lot of personal preference, and you can change it anytime. And look, you know, even here, there's some presets. So we can go to default, right? And we get less information there. That one's a little bit easier, but it doesn't have stuff that I want. Short, we don't get much at all. It's very interesting, right ascension and declination, magnitude. None, right? So therefore I can click on a star, I can highlight it. There's other things I do when I'm highlighting a star, but as it's highlighted, I don't have to all see all that stuff on my screen. And I'm just realizing that's something I should be utilizing in some of the animations I make for my astronomy for astrology classes. So I almost just mocked that. I don't know if you heard that coming on. It's like, why would I want no information when I highlight a star? There's really good reasons, actually. Well, thank you, Stellarium. Customize. All right, well, let's customize a thing. So what do you want? I want the name of the star. I'm not sure that I want all of these alternative names. And interestingly, that's on a different menu. And a like different sub menu of a different menu. We'll find our way there eventually. All right, because Regulus, you know, different names throughout time, different names in different cultures and all that. Catalog number, I'm going to turn all these off and then we'll start turning them on one at a time. So as soon as I hit name, you can see it shifted from none to just hit name again. Now it's customized, right? Do I want its catalog number? Alpha Leo and all? I don't. Not on my screen. I'm interested in knowing that, and I can always come here and add that information or click all and see everything, including catalog number. So I'm going back to none. I'm going to click name. Now I have a new customized set. Right ascension and declination of the date. Yes, I want that. By the way, right ascension and declination are, let's turn on the equatorial grid. I see 40, 30, this is 20, 10, this will be 0, always true. The east and the west is the celestial equator. I will show you soon how to turn that itself and only the celestial equator on. We'll eventually find our way to creating a keyboard shortcut for it because it's very important. Right ascension is an angular measurement around the celestial equator from 0 degrees tropical Aries, which is where the ecliptic and the equator intersect, due east of the center of Earth. Now, if you've studied astronomy with me, all that's like familiar language to you. If you haven't, you're probably like, what are you talking about, dude? Well, you know, take my astronomy courses and maybe we'll get there too. Anyway, around the celestial equator, which is simply Earth's equator, the axis of our planet's rotation projected into space from 0 degrees tropical Aries, that's the 0 point of right ascension. We measure along that equator and either do this in 360 degrees or do it in 24 hours. Why? Because with respect to the sun, Earth spins with the plane of our rotation or daily spin around the equator in 24 hours time. Okay, so you see up here like 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours. If I click on Arcturus here, we're going to see Arcturus located in right ascension somewhere between 14 hours and 15 hours. And there you go. 14 hours, 16 minutes, 43.4 seconds of right ascension. Declination is a planet's distance north, angular distance north or south of the celestial equator. Celestial equator, because it is literally the plane of Earth's rotation, it is perpendicular to Earth's pole. I'm looking for globes. They're all over the place. You know, see the Earth. The pole of our rotation defines the cardinal directions north and south. The equator of Earth is perpendicular to north and south. What is that? East and west. Okay, so the celestial equator always runs through due east, due west. And then I can just see, no, I don't see some of them listed on the screen. I do see 30 degrees here and 40 degrees here. So I think I can safely assume these are all 10-degree divisions. in declination. So here's the equator, east-west. Then we go up to Arcturus, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, just a little bit less than 30 degrees north of the celestial equator. So we're going to see a declination around 30 degrees north, or so I thought. Oh, okay, no, it's 20. See, this one's 30. I'm going to trace the 30 here. So this is the 20, this is the 10, and this is 0. This is the equator, which is passing through east and west. Okay, so equator, 10 degrees of declination, 20 degrees of declination. Arcturus a little bit shy of 20 degrees north declination. And so that's what we see, 19 degrees north declination, right? If we went down to Antares here, you can see that Antares is somewhere between 16 hours and 17 hours of right ascension. There you go, almost exactly 16 hours, 30 minutes. Of course, 60 minutes in a degree or in an hour, so 16 and a half hours of right ascension. That would be true also for Corniferos up here, who lives in Hercules. That would be true also of Psyche or Han here, who lives in Ophiuchus. I'm keyboard shortcutting. We're going to get back to that stuff. So Antares is south of the equator. Here's the equator, this parallel, as we call it, running through east and west. This would be 10 degrees south declination, 20 degrees south declination, 30 degrees south declination. So Antares looks in between, closer to 30, maybe 27 degrees south declination. There you go, 20, you see minus 26, 30, 26, 28, no, 26, 29, whatever. Minus in the convention is south, where plus, like Arcturus here, plus 19 is north. Okay, so there's right ascension and declination. I'm going to go back into my configuration window. It looks like it opened up where we left off, which is in the information tab, and we're customizing our menu here. Okay. Hour angle and declination, frankly, maybe I'll want that when I know what it means. I see declination as the same. I don't know what hour angle is. I'm guessing if I move this in time, that hour angle is going to increase. And that is indeed, well, no, I just picked the sun by accident. But yeah, see how the hour angle of Arcturus is changing as I move through time? So my guess now is that I'm going to rewind time. I'm guessing that when Arcturus was due south, the hour angle was 0. Yeah, that's so we just learned what hour, I just learned what hour angle is. It's basically how many hours of right ascension Arcturus is from the meridian, or having culminated earlier in the day. That's super cool. I'm not going to use that right now, but I'm going to start getting familiar with that one personally. Okay. I just said things that might sound completely Greek, like meridian or culminating. We'll get back to that stuff as we move along. If you've studied astronomy with me, or astronomy at all, those are probably familiar terms. And I find hour angle now fascinating. Okay. If in astrology, that will have something to do with where Arcturus is moving through the houses, actually. And as I'm always intrigued by the investigation of different astrological house systems, that will be a tool that will help me in that quest. Azimuth and altitude. Yeah, I want that. So I'm going to take this equatorial grid away. You can see down here on the bottom menu, right, this globe. And then I'm going to click the one next to it, the azimuthal grid. I can see right now that the current keyboard shortcut for that is Z. Later on, we're going to go through keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to change that because I like Z to be zenith, okay? But right now, I could click the Z button, that's the default, and turn on this azimuthal grid, as it's called, or we could call it the horizon grid as well. This is like the dome of your local sky, okay? So you're going to see something more like this if you go outside and look south, maybe having southeast and southwest on your periphery, right? Then if I want to see the zenith, I've got to look up, which is what I'm doing, by the way, with the up key here in Stellarium. I could also drag and bring it down, but it's much harder for me to kind of keep my drag straight than using the up and down keys in Stellarium, or left and right will turn me around. I can hold down shift and go left, and you can see that slowed it down, a little bit more reasonable of a head turn. I almost broke my neck before. I can hold down shift and go up, okay? And what am I doing? I'm raising my head and increasing my view in altitude, okay? You can see Arcturus at this time is kind of close to the top of the sky, which is the zenith there in that center of my local sky dome. Al-Qaid is even closer. Al-Qaid is a star of the Ursa Major, the Big Bear, and the asterism, the Big Dipper, kind of tail star. One of the Bohemian magical stars of Hermes, according to the tradition, as is Arcturus, by the way. Al-Qaid is even closer to the top of the sky than Arcturus right now, but look at this one, who is Sejanus, I don't know how to pronounce that. Very close to the zenith right now, so very high in altitude. The convention, let me put my feet back on the ground or bring my head back down to the horizon. The convention is that 0 degrees altitude is the horizon. Negative altitude takes me down beneath the horizon. Okay, so like Rigel Kentaurus or Alpha Centauri is currently at negative about 10 degrees, it looks like, of altitude. I'm never going to see it, therefore, because there's a ground, but Stellarium will let us play, helping us take the ground away, which we've done before. This ground icon in the bottom menu buttons, or G. That's a keyboard shortcut. I like G for ground. H for horizon, by the way, I just used. Let's take the grid away. I can bring the horizon in, and we're going to find that in a different menu bar. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's bring this azimuthal grid back in. Let's bring the ground back in and just talk about altitude above the ground. The convention is that 0 is the horizon, 90 is the zenith. Negative 90 is the nadir, which is right down beneath your feet if you're standing up. Okay, the zenith right above your head, top of the sky, zenith, quote unquote, bottom of the sky, nadir, the zenith for whoever is exactly on the opposite side of the earth, and from you, the antipode or antipode, the opposite side of the globe. Here's a beautiful star, Menkent, the head of Kentaurus, centaur, or the eye. You see men a lot. It's like eye stars. And currently you can see here 15 degrees of altitude. So this is like 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15, 20, here's 25. Looks like an unnamed star there. It's not even in like one of the so-called 88 accepted constellations. We go up here though into like priestess stars. Here's Sirma in the priestess's foot. Here's Hezi. Spica, one of the Bohemian magical stars, a very bright star, and ecliptic stars we will see currently in local time or I have to push 8 to catch me up to local time. In the southwest, at an altitude of 5, 10, 15-ish, 16 degrees. So there you see, oh no, altitude 30. So I need to be careful because when I zoomed out, watch, I'm going to zoom in Stellarium, and I'm using my trackpad to do that. This is in my Mac settings where I zoom in and out with a 2-finger drag on my trackpad. You can also use, let's see, we're going to have to find that later because it's not just plus key takes me through time, I think. But like maybe shift plus or command plus. Nope. It's not option. Control plus. No. I don't know. There's some way to use keyboard shortcuts to zoom in and out right now. I'm just using my trackpad. Notice I lost my like pointer device. So I found some keyboard shortcut for that. All right. Anyway, when I zoom in here, you can see like you get more lines of altitude and azimuth. All right. So when I zoom out, that I made that mistake of counting 5s when they were actually 10s. 0 degree at the horizon, 10, 20, 30. So speaker right now is about 30 degrees of altitude, as you can see here. And the altitude and azimuth, 221. What? Well, I can see it's about 225 because the azimuthal convention is that north is 0. While altitude is up and down, azimuth is around and around, okay? It's the partner coordinate to the horizon coordinate system or azimuthal system or grid. Okay, altitude up and down, azimuth around and around, and the convention is that north, due north, is 0 degrees azimuth. You see that 0 there? And that azimuth increases as we turn towards the east. Okay, so as I go to the east, which is square to north, you'll see an azimuth of 90 degrees. What do you think south is going to be? Another 90 degrees, right? So south has an azimuth of 180 degrees. See, 180 there, right? We continue to west, 270 degrees. In between 180 and 270, as any Uranian astrologer knows very quickly, is 225 degrees. The azimuth of southwest is 225. You can see it's here between 220 and 230. All right, and speaker right now is a little bit south of southwest, so not quite to the 225 yet. That's going to happen as time moves on. Now I'm moving through time, and you're going to see the azimuth increasing as speaker moves from the south, 180 azimuth, towards the west, 270, just cleared the 225, which is southwest. You're also going to see the altitude decreasing. Why? Because speaker is currently on the western side of the sky, and the western side rests. Speaker's altitude is going to become 0 and setting in the west, okay? 7 to stop time, 7 key, 8 key to go to right now. Okay, so there's the azimuth and altitude grid. We've looked at that before. So some of that was very redundant from previous lessons. My apologies, but I learned from NASA that redundancy is built into every good space mission. Hopefully you find that to be true. I'm going to take the azimuth grid away and go back to our monkey wrench configuration window. And remember, we just got there by kind of selecting what information we want. So, ecliptic coordinates, heck yes. Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with adding the ecliptic coordinates of the state. Okay, astrology should love ecliptic coordinates because it is zodiac degree. Now, until I can put an ecliptic grid on the screen, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to explain what ecliptic coordinates are. But let me just say for now that ecliptic longitude, this measurement here, 204 degrees, is a measurement around the zodiac from 0 degrees tropical Aries. Okay? 30 is 0 Taurus, 60, 0 Gemini, 90, 0 Cancer, 120 trine from 0 Aries is 0 Leo, 150, 0 Virgo, 180, the opposition, opposite 0 Aries is 0 Libra. 0 Libra, tropical Libra, has a celestial longitude of 180 degrees. Add another sign, 30 degrees. 180 plus 30 is 210 degrees. That's 0 degrees Scorpio. All right, so 204 is 180 plus 24. In other words, Spica, in our day and age, this changes with precession, lives at 24 degrees tropical Libra. Excuse me. So does Arcturus, 204. Do you see that? Let me put this away. Here's Spica, 204. Arcturus, 204. How does that work? Well, it's just like Seattle, Washington, and Richmond, California, where I live, have the same longitude on Earth. We're the same distance from the prime meridian, but we have different latitudes. Okay? So while longitude is a measurement around the ecliptic, the plane of our orbit, or the path of the sun, the heart of the zodiac, just as right ascension is an angular measurement around the celestial equator, the plane of our daily rotation. Remember that north and south of the equator was declination, or is declination. North and south of the ecliptic is latitude. Arcturus is like 30 degrees north of the ecliptic plane. That's this plus. Remember, plus in the convention is north. 30, 43, so about 31 degrees north. Spica is about 1 degree south of the ecliptic plane. That's what we see here. Oh, -2. I thought 1. Oh, I stand corrected. But they both live 24 degrees tropical Libra, celestial longitude of 204, positive 204. It's going to be helpful to see that when we can put the ecliptic on the screen, as we soon will, and when we can put an ecliptic grid on the screen, which I think we will do in this video. Okay, back to the monkey wrench. Do we want galactic coordinates? Oh, let me say a thing as well. I'm noticing that when I add ecliptic coordinates of date, I also get ecliptic obliquity. Positive 2326. Frankly, I don't know what that is. Yeah, there's another thing for me to learn, and I'm not cracking that code right now. Somebody tell me, please. I'm going to go look that up. I mean, frankly, I would like to be able to have longitude and latitude without obliquity. Oh, it's frustrating me, as you can feel. A planet's obliquity is the... Let me make sure this is true. No, inclination is how a planet's like path is inclined to the ecliptic, the Earth-Sun plane. Obliquity has to do with how elliptical the planet's orbital path is versus like circular. I don't know how that works with a star. So yeah, again, this is confusing me. I wish there was a way I could show only longitude and latitude, which I certainly want as an astrologer, because I can convert this to zodiac degree simply by knowing my aspects. It's an opposition plus 24, so 0 Libra plus 24, 24 tropical Libra. And then I love to know how far north or south the ecliptic plane a planet is, and or a star is, whatever in the sky. ecliptic obliquity. I just don't even know what that is, so I prefer to take it away personally, but I can't. Okay, galactic coordinates, pretty cool. That just popped in above here, but I'm not going to use that frequently, nor super galactic coordinates here. Okay, so they're not going on. Additional coordinates from plugins. As I click that, nothing's coming on because I don't have any plugins that are giving me additional coordinates. If I were to add plugins that did, then I would come here and probably tick that box. Okay, elongation. Elongation is going to matter when we have a planet. Let's move through time and get a planet up here. Or how about the moon? Okay, now we see all these other things that I don't seem to have on the menu. Let me unclick elongation and see how many things are coming in actually. So one is elongation. You see that 23 degrees and 30 minutes? That will mean that the moon is currently 23 degrees and 30 minutes, 23 and a half degrees from the sun. Let's cast a chart and show that truth. Here's right now. If I add, well, I've got to add 24 here. Okay, well, we're going to see the difference. Let me actually, here in Astro Gold software, I'm going to turn the parallax of the moon on, and I'll speak about more about what that is in a bit. And now 602, we'll add 23 to 6 to get to 29, and add 37 from 2 to get to 39. So 26, 37 is what I should expect to see in the moon's elongation right now. They say 2330. It's 7 arc minutes difference between this astronomy software and the astrology software, and I think we're going to find some settings which might help us agree. Okay. Elongation, and I'm guessing maybe my chart is set for Richmond, California. Let me actually just relocate to El Sobrante. Now let's see. No, it's the same. All right, so that's not the difference here. So, okay, we'll get back to that in a bit. Elongation in ecliptic longitude. Okay, well, remember longitude measurement around the ecliptic plane. So now you're seeing 2246. Let's get back to that as well. Phase angle, that's cool. 156 plus 156. I guess it's 156 after being full. 180. Oh, what the heck is? I don't know how they're measuring phase angle in this moment. Actually, quite confused by that. But illuminated, only 4.2% of the moon is illuminated. Look, we can zoom way in. Again, I'm going to use my trackpad for that. Get the menu out of the way. And then in Stellarium, I think, yeah, we'll see the phase of the moon currently depicted. Cool, right? See how slim this crescent is. Why? Because the moon is so close to the sun. Right? I'm going to turn the atmosphere on. The sun's already up. Like, you're not going to see that tiny sliver crescent in the daytime sky. But of course, we can click down here, or the A shortcut, as we've learned, to take the atmosphere away, and then we can play. Okay, so only 4.2% of the moon's surface, or I shouldn't say surface, because half of the moon's surface is always illuminated. We're just seeing a small fraction of that. And as far as the face of the moon that we're looking at, only 4.2% of it is currently illuminated or visibly reflecting sunlight to earthly eyes. Okay, so elongation is pretty cool, but if I'm looking at a star, that's not going to show up. That's for planets like the moon or Mercury here, where we also get elongation in ecliptic longitude, phase angle. What the heck is that? And percent illuminated. What? Let me zoom in on Mercury. Mercury obviously much smaller in our sky than moon. I just pushed the space bar, which centers on an object, by the way. And we get into Mercury, and there you go, 85% illuminated. Yeah, I get it. All right. I was gonna say Mercury only ever appears as a crescent to us, but then again, you can't see Mercury at this time too close to the sun. Okay. But phase angles intriguing me because, like in astrology, I would call that phase angle the distance from the sun. And that's this elongation, okay, in ecliptic longitude. Let's go to the chart and check that one out. Mercury's at 10, sun's at 29. Here's this 19 degrees of elongation. The phase angle's intriguing me. I'm just wondering where that 45 degrees is being measured from, and I apologize for not knowing. If you find out, let me know in the comments below this video, please. Let's get back to the monkey wrench menu, and let's go to visual magnitude. Okay. The magnitude scale is super weird. So here you see Mercury at this time, a magnitude of 4.45. Let's click on the moon. You're just clicking and dragging here, okay? So moon has a magnitude of -6. It's weird, but negative is brighter than positive in the magnitude scale. What? And it's not a linear scale, it's a logarithmic scale. It's like so weird. I think some people call it like Hipparchus's curse. I think maybe he created it, and I might be totally off there. Let's look at Antares. Antares is a very bright star, all right, magnitude of 1. This first magnitude stars. Here we have Sabik of Ophiuchus, much dimmer, 2.45. Caus Borealis here of the Archer, 2.8. It's dimmer, okay? So the lower the number, the brighter the star, planet, luminary like the moon, obviously next to the sun, the brightest thing in our sky, depending on phase, right? But -6 is very bright. The sun is like -27, okay? So that's visual magnitude. Absolute magnitude, like let's see, now the sun stays the same. Moon, absolute magnitude 0.21. Why so much less than the visual, or so than the magnitude? Well, the sun is up, yo. And the moon is super sliver. Okay. Let me go back some days when the moon is like has more phase. And let me on that day put the sun down below the horizon. Absolute magnitude 0.21, magnitude minus almost 10 now because it's more illuminated, right? You can see here illuminated 40% versus that 4% or whatever today. As I take the sun, I'm rewinding time and putting the sun further down beneath the horizon. I'm interested in seeing that like the absolute magnitude does not change. Magnitude as well. So there was something, it seems, that I said before which was actually incorrect. Ooh, let me go to right now. Speaking of the moon, after this video, I'm going to go outside and take a picture of this crescent moon if I can. which helps me see that I'm only going to finish the information tab of the configuration window menu today. All right, so do I want both visual magnitude and absolute magnitude? I want, like when I look at Zubin el-Janubi here, that 2.75 is the thing I want. Look at how it says reduced by 2.99 by 1.83 air masses. That has to do with light pollution. So we're going to find a way to change that. But personally, I'm going with visual magnitude and not absolute magnitude. You can tell I don't even understand what that is at this current stage of my study. Type. Type says it's a double star. I find that to be interesting information. I mean, I think the display can get quite overwhelming. So again, choose what you want. Size. Size is going to apply to planets, but apparently not stars. So let's click on a planet like Mercury. And then let me take the size in and out. And you see two things came in, apparent diameter and equatorial diameter. I'm not so concerned with that right now. Velocity, orbital velocity, how many kilometers per second Mercury's moving. Cool to know, but don't want that on my display personally. Proper motion. You can see it kind of showed up here. Hourly motion is information I don't need. Distance, interesting. How far from the sun in AUs, an astronomical unit. The average distance between Earth and sun, which is about 93 million miles. I guess I should say that in kilometers, which is measured here. But I can see that Mercury's about half of an average Earth-Sun distance currently. And distance from Earth, 1.26 AU, further than the sun, because Mercury's currently further from Earth than the sun. Super awesome information. I don't want that all the time, however. Okay. I'm not sure I even want elongation all the time. Constellation, no, I don't need where Mercury is in the IAU's constellations. I know my constellations. If you don't, it's a great way to start learning constellations. So like, you can click on a star and see that it's in Serpents or in Sagittarius or in Capricornus, right? So constellation can be super helpful if you're learning your way around the constellations. I know them. Rising transits and settings, intriguing. This will tell me literally what time Mercury rises, what time Mercury culminates at the meridian, what time Mercury sets. Genius information. I don't need it right now. I wish I can make two different kind of defaults that I could cycle back and forth to here. I can't, I don't think I can change short. I'm interested in seeing that though. If I go to short and I add type, suddenly I'm in customize and I just lost all the stuff that we did. So that's great. Let's go none and let's go name, right ascension declination of date, azimuth altitude, ecliptic coordinates of date, visual magnitude, type, Mercury's a planet. The rest of this stuff, solar and lunar position, intriguing. And then additional information. Look at all this: parallactic angle, sidereal period, synodic period. This is great information, but I don't need it right now. All right. This is what I'm going to currently use as my setup for the customized information here in Stellarium. I'm going to go to right now. That's now. Pause right now and see how high the moon is above the horizon, because I really want to go photograph the moon. It's not high enough for me to see through the trees in my neighbor's yard right now. Anyway, okay. So we have finished our information jam. and gone through all of these things, including the ones of which I am currently ignorant. And I've chosen what I'm using for customize. Now that I've done that, I want to go to main, save settings. Okay, when I quit Stellarium now and open Stellarium back up, we are going to find that when I pick a star like Altair here, that short list of customized settings that we just made is what we see. Now I thought I had taken type off, but I guess I didn't. Go back to the configuration menu, monkey wrench menu, information, customize. Yeah, I had left type ticked. Okay, so again, pick what you want to pick. Help you learn what you want to learn. I do want to add elongation here. Well, I'll get back to that. So let's go to extras. All right, so extras is a very interesting realm, okay? You can see here like constellational boundaries, all right? But that's not going to turn the boundaries on. What it's doing is, as you can see, show additional buttons. Maybe before I go there, we should go up here. Additional information settings. Use unit of measurement magnitude per arc second squared for surface brightness. I don't know what that means. Use short notation for unit of measurement of surface brightness. I don't really worry about surface brightness so much. I can understand why telescope people are like, that's a big deal. It's not for me. Use formatting output for coordinates and time. I don't know what that does either. Let's see what happens when I turn that on and off. Oh, so it's just basically like right, what do you call that? Right adjusted the information. I kind of like that actually. I mean, it's taking up more of my sky, but I like that I can see everything right on top of each other. I've never seen that before. Maybe that's new in Stellarium. I like it. I'm gonna keep that on. Use designations for celestial coordinate systems. Oh, okay, so instead of right ascension declination and azimuth altitude and longitude latitude, we get these symbols. Alpha over delta. My Greek's not great. A over A for altitude, azimuth and altitude. Theta over beta for longitude and latitude. Part of my Greek ignorance also. Yeah, I'm gonna stay, especially because I'm teaching astronomy so much. Like I kind of like how the menu got smaller. But I'm gonna go here. I like to see ecliptic longitude. Okay, cool. Well, so that's there. Just learn those ones. Okay, now down below, these ones that are already checked, we already have as buttons. So for example, cardinal points, which is this cross here. See, east just disappeared. Cross, put it again, just reappeared. If I hover it over it, I can see here in the corner, it says cardinal points in brackets Q. I have Q as a keyboard shortcut. That's the default for turning the directions on and off. Okay, well, look at, just keep your eyes here at the compass down there. If I click this, you see how that option goes away. So I can use this to choose what buttons appear on this bottom menu bar. Do I want constellational boundaries? See how this one just showed up. Now I can use the IAU's boundary divisions. That will change with different star lores, I guess. I know the keyboard shortcut for that. I don't want that one down there. Asterism lines. Well, asterisms are either like part of accepted constellations or super constellations built out of stars borrowed from multiple constellations. Like the Big Dipper is a part of the Big Bear. Okay, that's a asterism. Let's look at that. Here, the Big Dipper part of Ursa Major, the Big Bear. All right, the Summer Triangle, or the Navigator's Triangle, as they call it in Polynesian, is made of stars from different constellations. Vega from Hermes' harp, Lyra, Deneb, the tail of the swan, and Altair, the heart of the eagle, come together to form an asterism called the Summer Triangle. Deneb, or the Cygnus, part of Cygnus, the swan, is also called the Northern Cross, which is that asterism, okay? So asterisms are cool. There's also a keyboard shortcut for that. It's currently that option A in Mac. I don't need a button down there for it personally. You do what you want to do. Asterism labels, if I have my asterisms on, then I can turn that on. I can see that this is called the Summer Triangle. It's kind of hard to see because there's so many there. I did want to see, I was wondering what this thing coming off the Big Dipper is. They call it the Mini Dipper. Okay. I don't really need either of those things. I don't like to have too much stuff. So I'm going back into the configuration window. I'm not going to keep those buttons for asterism or asterism labels. You do what you want to do. Ecliptic grid. Yes, I want that. Okay, because now let's talk longitude and latitude a bit. Like I have Altair highlighted here. When I take the ecliptic grid on, this is the grid of the zodiac. I have to find the 0 point. See, this says 30, 20. I can assume this is 10. This is the ecliptic here, which I also know because I know Spica's an ecliptic star. And so is, oh, I missed a crab here of the Scorpion, okay? Antares is south of the ecliptic plane. That's latitude. Negative is south. Antares 4.5 degrees south of the ecliptic. We're going to find in another menu and then set keyboard shortcuts, a way to turn the ecliptic on and off. I mean, in astrology, we're most concerned with the ecliptic. It's the path of the planets, right? The planets, like you can see the moon is well south of the ecliptic right now because moon has her own orbital path, which I just turned on with a keyboard shortcut. We'll get back to that. But Mercury, moon, all the planets will stay close to the ecliptic, which I'm tracing here. Celestial longitude is the angular measurement around the ecliptic plane measured from 0 degrees tropical Aries. Celestial latitude is the measurement north or south of the ecliptic plane. Arcturus, as we were seeing before, is about 30 degrees away north, while Spica is about 2 degrees south. Okay, and now we can see that now that we've added the ecliptic grid to our screen. I like that ecliptic grid so much, I'm going to go to the main tab of the monkey wrench menu and say save settings right now. All right, but let me also turn the ecliptic grid off. Back to extras, third tab. ICRS grid, I have no idea what that is. I notice as I click here, this thing shows up. Don't need it yet. Maybe I get to learn what that is another time. Galactic grid. Cool, but I don't need it. I don't use it so much. I'm taking that away. Cardinal points, I definitely want it. Compass marks, yes, awesome. So look down here at the cardinal points, the compass rose. When I add compass marks, there's now something next to it. When I click that, now I get to see the azimuths. South is 180. Southwest 225. West 270, because it is square to or 90 degrees away from north, which is 0. That's the convention of azimuth, around and around, the counterpart to altitude, up and down. Compass marks, love it. I'm going to go back to main and just save my settings because I love that so much. Back to extras. Night mode, right? Which is here. Where is night mode? No, I can't find it. Oh, there. Night mode. If I was using this laptop outside, I would want that on so I don't blind myself on, like, in night vision. I don't. I use my phone and a Stellarium and other apps for that. So I'm turning that off. Again, like I like less stuff. Centering button is cool. That's here, as we saw before. So if I click on Polaris, I can click that and then I've centered in on Polaris. Well, you know what? The space bar does it. Or you could change that keyboard shortcut. So I don't need that centering button at all. The full screen button, I'll keep that on because sometimes things get freaked out. A quit button here, yeah, I know how to hit Command Q, right? Which is like standard, so I don't need that either. Nebula background, let's click on that and you see a new button appear. You see that it's actually currently highlighted. Maybe we have to see some nebulas on the screen. I know where some are. Here's a nebula around Antares. Here's some there. Let me click that. Yeah, and all those go away. You know, frankly, I don't really want them on. Like when I come in here, you see how you get this like square. I mean, like, they're super cool to see. It's like, you know, Hubble shots. But I don't know, it kind of messes up the view. I kind of wish I had known about that before. For that reason, I'm actually going to leave it on there because I'd like to be able to turn those on and off easy. And maybe once I set up a keyboard shortcut, I'll take that away. Flip buttons, I don't really need it. You know, you can flip things like around the east and west. You see how the scorpion just got reversed? Oh, that might be, oh, I just hit the full screen button by accident. You know, that might be convenient, like up and down if I'm laying on my back and looking up at the sky. Some of this is like telescope stuff, right? Depending on the kind of mirrors they're using the telescope, it can flip the image. I don't really care about them. I don't want them on my there. DSS surveys, so that one's here. Deep sky. Oh, I stuck flipped around. All right, so I need to get the flip buttons back and flip up and down. Okay, and left and right, then take them away. So the deep sky survey is pretty wild. Look at all these squares and stuff popped up. So zooming in would be cool. I mean, that's like for telescope folk. It kind of ruined my sky. I like for this to look more like what I see outside. So I'm gonna not bring the DSS survey menu button on. HIPS survey, we can assume that's kind of a similar thing. I didn't get anything there, but I don't want it. Observing lists, that is the star that just showed up. Creation date. There's a drop down here. I don't know. It looks like I have to make new lists. So like if I wanted to, I'm guessing, especially if Stellarium's controlling my telescope, before I go out, I might say, hey, I want to look at the Orion Nebula and I want to then go look at this. And I could probably like move through my list and it will move my telescope. I don't need an observing list on my menu bar. Use buttons background. Oh, you see what's happening there, right? Is there's like this gray background behind the buttons and then that goes away. I've never seen that before either. I guess what it's doing is it's setting them up in groups. You know what? Typically I have, and remember these stop buttons in the corner down here will take the menu away. Typically I don't have those menus up. So I'll just hover down there to use them. And therefore, I don't really care so much. I'm going to play that because we're still doing our instructional series. It's helpful to have these up. So I'm going to keep it on. Okay. This one, oops, didn't mean to do that. What just happened? Huh. Drats. Let me go to main, save my settings, and quit Stellarium. Oh, I'm in like email. Sorry about that. All right. Thought I made a mistake in Stellarium. Let me open Stellarium and I think it's about time to close this video, isn't it? So we're just going to do one more thing. So back to Monkey Wrench. We had already looked through main, information, extras. I want to make sure that I had saved. It looks like what I want is saved. Great. We'll do one more tab here. Okay, so we're through that. Yeah, what I was saying is this switch between equatorial and azimuthal mount, I don't necessarily want down there, but it's not giving me the option to take that one away. I can't in this menu anyway take away the ground or the atmosphere. I can do cardinal points. So you're not allowed to turn all of them off apparently, even the ones you might not want. This thing, meteor showers, exoplanets, we're actually going to find a different place where those can go away. And we'll do that in a future video. Do two more things here. So one is, look, get catalog 5 of 9. Download this file to view even more stars. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to click that. You can see it already automatically, this progress bar in the lower right. Now we're up to star count 7.1 million. Get catalog 6 of 9. Let's keep it going. What's the risk? Well, we're going to take up more memory on our computer. Stellarium might slow down too. Now I'm up to 24.7 million stars. You know what? That's enough for me, especially since I, again, kind of want to work with what I'm seeing outside. And I live in the Bay Area of California. It's pretty light polluted. I want to learn more stars than what I can see out here too, and teach more also. But I also don't want Stellarium to get overwhelming here. We will see another menu where we can limit how many stars we're seeing at a time. Okay, so there's get more star catalogs. Now let's do one more tab here, time tab. This is a pretty cool one. See startup date and time. So the default in the current setting is system date and time. We could do a system date at a particular time of night, like if you wanted to just fast forward to the nighttime, that could be convenient. You can, let's say, oh, this is actually my birth date and time. If you're working on a current moment, then you can just set that up to use current, and then when you close Stellarium and come back, it's going to be that until you change it back to system date and time. If you're working on your natal chart, it might be convenient to type in your birth data, right, and then click that thing. Now I was born in Boston, so I guess, let me just do that. I'm going to click other. Just in case I need to, I'm going to go to main, save settings. I'm going to quit Stellarium and come back in. This is going to take longer to boot up now that I added all those stars too. So you saw all those, it's loading. Okay, so this is like my birth moment. It's actually pretty similar, but I was born in Boston, Massachusetts at 7:39 p.m. So let me open the clock. Here in California, it was actually 4:39 p.m. and the sun was still up, okay? But 7:39 p.m. here, it looks a lot like my chart. Boston's only a couple degrees further north of Earth's equator than El Sobrante, California is. Okay, so back to the monkey wrench menu. I prefer to have it start up at the system date and time, so I'm electing that. I'm going back to main, save settings. Okay, back to this time menu again. Oh, by the way, when you're clicked on a star, if you want to unclick it, well, you can click to another star or planet or whatever, but you can also right click it. In my trackpad in the Mac, it's a 2-finger click. I have that set up in my Mac settings, okay? And then, so selection, select nothing, right click. All right. So system date and time, display formats of date and time. Julian date. Look down here. It's currently 1975, October 24th. That's when I was born. As I click that, now it's saying JD, Julian date, 2442710.61, whatever. What date? You can see here, right? So we're seeing 7:40 p.m. I could change that to 24-hour format. Okay, now it says 1940, whatever. System default, which I guess is 24 hours. I want 12-hour formats. Nice to see AM, PM. By the way, this is not changing. I just opened the date time window. It's not changing this, okay? Also here, right, you can see down below 1975, October 24th. Well, as most Yanks do, I want to go month, day, year. You might choose day, month, year, as most of the world prefers to do time, okay? But now I'm seeing 10/24/1975. That's how I'm used to doing time, so I'm sticking with that one, okay? You can see there's these different options, right? Algorithm of delta T, don't change it. All right, that's like way advanced. We'll get them. There's a lot of options, as you can see. Maybe we'll get there. That's more like astronomy, like high level astronomy class stuff. I'm leaving it right here in their default modified Espinec and Meiosis. All right, so tail for another time. Great. Well, we have been through half of our configuration window or menu, the monkey wrench menu. I'm going to go back to menu, click save settings. Actually, with those settings saved, if I come back in, the clock is going to be up right here as it was. So if I don't want that, then I take the clock away, go back to configuration window, save settings. That should be a keyboard shortcut too, but I don't know what it is. We'll get into these other ones like tools. Well, we're going to get to one of them right now because I realize I left something unfinished. See this checkbox? So this is the monkey wrench menu, the tools tab. You know what? We're just going to do this now because scripts and plugins is going to be a tale for another time. Oh, whatever. This is going to be a long video. We're going to go through all that right now. So for tools, spheric mirror distortion. Whoa, I don't need it. That's telescope people stuff. Good on ya. Gravity labels. Don't really need it. All right, super like advanced physics stuff. Well, it's kind of interesting. Look, it just changed like Vega and Jupiter, like their directions. I guess it showed me like maybe in which direction they're pulling on Earth or being pulled towards wherever they get pulled. Like, oh yeah, so like Jupiter would face the sun. Let me go to right now. Whoa, crazy. I don't know what that's about, but it seems cool. I want to be able to read. So I'm unclicking that. Select single constellation. This is a really cool box. It's something I use all the time. Like if I'm focusing in on the Scorpion, I can show just the Scorpion. For some reasons, it's also showing the scales. I think if I highlight the Archer here, now I have scale, Scorpion, and Archer. I should be able to reset those. We can do all that. We can set that up in keyboard shortcuts. I use it a bunch. Right now, I'm going to just turn it off and all the constellations are going to show up, okay? Auto direction at zoom out. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to that when we start zooming in and out. Remember that it's here in the tools of the configuration menu. Enable keyboard navigation. I absolutely want that. And then see the monkey wrench there. Edit keyboard shortcuts popped up. So that's one way I can get into editing my keyboard shortcuts, which we're going to do later. There's a few different ways to get there. I definitely want to enable keyboard shortcut. I like to be able to do things like G for ground and H for horizon and C for constellations and A for atmosphere and all that. G for ground. Okay. Enable mouse zooming. Yeah, like I guess if I unclick that, I can no longer, like right now I'm track padding and I can't zoom. So once that's clicked, as it's default clicked, I can now zoom in and out with my trackpad. I assume if you have like the little roller on your mouse, the same thing would happen. Overwrite text color. Well, I don't want to, but it looks like it's selected as white anyway. Once, and it's kind of a Mac thing. I don't know how this works on PC. Maybe it's the same, but it's like, I could go to say gross bright yellow here, banana. And now, wait, maybe I have to write banana. Okay. So now that changed to banana. Now it looks like overwrite text color and all this stuff up here became banana. Okay. If I unclick it, apparently the default is white. Oh, that's interesting. Like, sometimes I want things to not be so bright. So like maybe I set that to silver and then I can overwrite text cover and that dim down a little bit. I might actually use that some. All right. Font size in the screen. Well, frankly, I'm getting a little older. So that's kind of nice. I can read that now. It looks like the default was 13. We can go much smaller too. Oh, maybe I'm like a 15 kind of guy these days. All right. Oh, I'm like a 15 kind of guy. So yeah, that's helpful to know about, right? I'm gonna go to the main and save settings there. Back to tools. All right, so we've made our way down the left side. How about the right side? Azimuth from south. Okay, cool. Well, let me turn the compass ticks back on, which was down here. Remember, we added that as a menu button, and now we can see that south has an azimuth of 180 degrees because the convention again is start from north and go to the east 90, south 180, west 270. Well, if I choose azimuth from south, now south is 0. And then it increases towards the west at 90. So just different conventions that have been used. I prefer azimuth from north. Sailor's convention. Okay, use decimal degrees. Let's select on a thing. So now it's going to say the moon's at let's say ecliptic longitude, 306.4. 300 is 0. Aquarius. So this tropical Aquarius. So this told me 6.4 Aquarius. Well, I'm an astrologer. I would much prefer to see that as 6 Aquarius and 24 arc minutes. I might be working on a plugin where that will actually say 6 Aquarius instead of 306. But it's really good to learn how to convert celestial longitude to zodiac of your choice degrees. Include nutation. Nutation is a long astronomical cycle which changes the tilt angle of Earth. I want that. As I'm going through like ages in my explorations of the sky. So I'm leaving that checked. It's the default. Include aberration. I want to learn more about what that is. Auto select landscapes. If I go from maybe if I go to Africa, it chooses a landscape from Africa. I'm going to unselect that. I like to be able to choose which landscape I'm looking at, and I'll show you where we can. Use kinetic scrolling. Let's see if we can notice what that is. That's movement. I don't know if that's scrolling. I don't know what it is, y'all. So I'm going to keep it unchecked. Mouse cursor timeout. Oh my gosh, I wish I had known about that. So it's currently at 10 seconds. Let me go to 1. Now, it might be because, yeah, you see, I still have my circle up, but the mouse cursor went away. Let's do it again. So that's cool. A lot of my animations, I have my mouse cursor down in the lower right, and I'm just using like keyboard shortcuts like this anyway. I like that. I don't think I need 1 second, but I might set it to 3. All right, so I'm gonna use that. Set keyboard focus to day input. I don't know what that is. I'm not doing it. Info text color at daylight. Oh, that's cool. So let's see that. Let me bring the atmosphere in. Let's go right now. I'm gonna go look south. That's Shift S, by the way. Yeah, see how now it's printed in black? So apparently I can change that color also. There's white. Right, so I can overwrite the text color there. And that's the nighttime display text color. I can change this one to, I might do something like tungsten. It's illegible. Lead? Why not just black? Kind of like white more anyway. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it that. That was the default. GUI, GUI, graphic user interface. Oh, that's just increasing the font size of the menu options here. I figured out I'm a 15 guy. I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, cool. I skipped one, which is super key. Did you notice? Topocentric coordinates. All right, so this brings me back. Let me dim the atmosphere. I'm gonna take the compass ticks away. Shift Q. I happen to know that keyboard shortcut, and let me go to right now and stop time. I'm gonna go to right now in the Astrogold software too. In the preferences here in my astrology software, and most astrology softwares offer this, you see parallax moon. Okay, the parallax moon, 626 tropical Aquarius. When I turn that off, 557 tropical Aquarius. 557 is 24 degrees, 2443 elongated from the sun right now. Did I do that wrong? Yeah. 23 degrees and 43 arc minutes from the sun. With parallax, it's different. So obviously this was showing up when we were talking about elongation with the moon. The geocentric measurement is standard in astrology. We are measuring the placement of the planets in the signs, not from the surface of the earth where we live and breathe and witness the heavenly happenings, but rather from the center of the earth where we are all one. So the geocentric measurement for the moon, who's really the only planet closest enough to Earth for this to matter, whether we're measuring from the center of the Earth, where we are all one, or the surface of the Earth, where we are looking from. Only the moon will really change. Just like as I kind of move my head, I can see things close by shift against the mountain in the backdrop. The moon is close by, and as I move my head by walking from one place on Earth to another, or teleporting more appropriately, then I'm going to see the moon shift against that backdrop mountain, which is the constellations. That's called parallax, or topocentric. That's Earth surface measurement versus geocentric. Okay, so if I turn the parallax on here, the topocentric surface measurement is 626 Aquarius, tropical Aquarius, which is 306.26 celestial longitude. That's what we're seeing here, 306.26. Okay, If I turn topocentric coordinates off, I get 305.57. Let's turn the parallax off. 305.57. 5 tropical Aquarius in 57 minutes. And that elongation is 43 minutes, 23:43. Let's go back to information, choose elongation, and I think we'll see 23:43. I don't know why, frankly. Oh, there's the 23:43 elongation. Delta lambdas. I called lambda theta before, delta. I don't know. Delta lambdas. I don't know. Maybe that's the center of the moon to the center of the sun. This one agrees with what I see in my astrology chart, 23:43. So I kind of want that, but that's only going to agree with the astrology chart unless I have topocentric moon on, parallax moon on. Some astrology softwares, that's going to look like topocentric coordinates, Earth surface coordinates. So now we're seeing 23:15. Let's see what happens if I go back to tools and turn topocentric on. Yeah, there's that 23:15. Okay. I don't know what the elongation without that delta lambdas is. I mean, elongation is cool. Now, should I use topocentric coordinates? I mean, this is literally going to change the moon and the moon's nodes from where I see them in the sky. Yes, I will teach you to see the moon's nodes if you study astronomy with me for some time. You know, there's a decent argument here, right? When I'm casting astrology charts, I'm almost always using the geocentric moon, which seems strange. Why not the moon from where I'm looking from? I mean, sometimes it will literally change its sign. George Harrison, a good example of that. Well, George Harrison's relocated chart to Hana, Hawaii, where he had a home, for example. Good example of that. But we measure from the center of the earth, and I think there's a very good reason. This is like true as above, so below. We here on earth are experiencing Earth's experience of the planets. I don't know. Should I go for need a shower, mad scientist hair, or the hat that now we have sunlight? We can clearly see very much clashes with my shirt. Good thing I'm not doing a instructional series on fashion for astrologers. We hire Rick Levine for that one. All right, cool. So we've been through this. I'm going to unclick topocentric coordinates, which we found was a default. That's kind of a personal preference. Look at the moon here. You'll see the moon moving. Okay, see how Mercury's not? Only the moon is close enough to Earth for this really to matter. But that also will be where like the moon's nodes are. That's where the moon crosses the ecliptic, which I would turn on, but the default, the keyboard shortcut I use for the ecliptic is not what is the default keyboard shortcut. I look forward to changing that with you. I also look forward to changing the moon's path from red to silver. That's all in future videos. All right. So we've done it all except for scripts and plugins. Let's keep going. Scripts. Oh, but by the way, I'm gonna like save these. So main menu, save settings. Scripts. Now when maybe I'll end here because it does weird things. So let's go here to plugins. Plugins are key. I have not seen this 3D scenarios yet, and it sounds intriguing. I was reading about this earlier. 3D foreground renderer. Walk around, find and avoid obstructions in your garden. Find and demonstrate possible astronomical alignments in temples. Like, that's my jam. See sundials, shadows on sundials, etc. Yes. But then I have to learn all these things about how to move around and stuff, right? So I don't see how there's this box that's unclicked that says loaded startup. I'm gonna click that and see what happens. All right, so let me quit Stellarium, and then we'll come back into Stellarium. And now we're gonna see in this loading at startup, grid lines, exoplanets. There was a plugin that just zoomed by. See these things down here? Toggle 3D landscapes. Show viewpoint dialog. All right, let's toggle some 3D landscapes. Please load a scene first. Okay, then I click on this thing. And I think when I clicked on that thing, this box shows up. Share stored views. Load view. Okay. Load store with date. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know how to do these things. It sounds intriguing, but for now, I'm going to turn that off and try to mess with it later. So back to the configuration windows menu. We were over here in plugins. I'm going to unclick the load at startup for 3D scenarios. Angle measure, you can read what it does. I'll show you what it does. I'm loading that at startup. Archaeoastronomy lines, probably a little advanced for where we're going to be right now, but I want it. I'm loading it at startup. It's something I recommend for astrology astronomers. Bright novae, a plugin that shows some bright novae in the Milky Way galaxy. I don't really care. I'm going to need a serious telescope to look at that unless things go supernova. You can see it's already loaded at startup. That's one of these things down here. That's exoplanets. Oh, it's here. Oh, deep sky objects. I don't know where it is. I don't want it. I'm turning that off. Calendars, I dig. However, the calendars, so I'm going to load it startup. Look, I can configure them. I just kind of have to remember that configuring them is over here, and I cannot configure it until it's loaded. So let me show you more about that before we're done. Equation of time is something I want to learn more about, so maybe I would load that, but I'm going to do that in my own time. Okay, exoplanets. You know what? I don't care so much. And it's default. Here's my exoplanets thing. There's all of these exoplanets. Super cool, guys. But I can't see them with my eyes. Turning it off. So I'm unclicking that. And we're going to see that menu's gone. Historical supernova, like that's kind of cool if that's part of your study, but it's default unchecked and I don't want it. Meteor showers, I don't even want that checked right now. I know where to go, and it's important to remember when you turn things on and off to try to like log or write down where they are, okay? But you can find them in the help buttons too, right? I'm unclicking that. That's going to take this away. Navigational stars, I like, well, I'm going to turn that on. It's part of my own study. Observational analysis displays an analysis of a selected object's observability, rise, set, and transit times for the current date, as well as when it is observable through the year. I've never seen that before. I like that, right? Like, so we had an option for rise time, transit time, and setting time in the displayed options and the information, right? We could have turned on that risings, transits, and settings. And I was like, I like that, but I don't want too much stuff on my screen when I'm selected on something. But here it seems I could have that as a menu option. That's great. I'm gonna check that out. I'm adding that. Oculars. No, I don't care about oculars. I'm turning that off. Online queries. This plugin allows object information retrieval from selected online services. That's interesting. Oh, I'm gonna check that out. Pointer coordinates. That's a cool thing to have. I'm gonna turn that on. I'll show you what it does. Pulsars. I don't care so much. Pulsars are amazing. So are quasars. I don't need any of those things right now. Remote control, also not. That's if I'm using Stellarium as a interface with a telescope. Remote sync, same thing. Don't need it. Satellites. Bye-bye. I mean, I might be interested if I'm seeing them outside. So for like my phone app or whatever, I might use that. I don't need it here. That's going to take this thing away. Solar system editor. Load at startup. An interface for adding asteroids and comets to Stellarium. I want that. Yes. And that's not on a menu button here. We're going to find out where that is. Okay, telescope control, don't need it. For those of you who are using Stellarium to drive your telescopes, click the box. Text user interface, plugin implementation of 0.9x series text user interface used in planetarium systems. No thanks, but that's cool. Like if you have a planetarium and you're going to use Stellarium to drive your planetarium, you want that. Okay, cool. So we went through all that. I'm going to go to main, save settings. I'm going to quit and come back in, and we're going to see like a whole new image down here at the bottom of the screen. And this will be the last thing we do in this very long video number 8 of the series. I think I'm going to go mad scientist needs a shower over clashing hat. What do you think? Next time on Fashion for Astrologers. Okay, so now look at all these, like, what happened here? Gregorian calendar. The Mayan long count. We are currently in 13 Baktuns. You may know that happened on December 21st, 2012, according to some calculations. There are some disagreements. In the Islamic calendar, I am on this Sabbath day of a month that I don't want to try to pronounce and embarrass myself. In the Julian calendar, it's this date, you know, etc., right? Hebrew calendar, New Hindu solar, New Hindu lunisolar, pretty cool. New Hindu panchang, that's like taking up too much screen, y'all. So let's go back into configuration menus, plugins, and calendars. And now that it's loaded up and I restarted and it's on the screen, see this? I can turn my calendars on and off with that. Brilliant. And I can also configure them. Which calendars do I want? Oh, I didn't even know. I totally want the Maya Hab. I want the Maya Zolkin. These are calendars that I'm currently studying. There are calendars here I don't know anything about. Amazing. I'm currently not studying New Hindu solar or New Hindu lunisolar. I'm not even sure what an ISO week is. I would like to learn more about the Hebrew calendar, the Gregorian. Yeah, that's kind of the trip where I'm stuck for a minute. I'm creating my own Olympic, Armenian, Ethiopic. Intriguing, all of these, and they're things for me to learn another time. Oh, I want Egyptian. I want Coptic. I don't know. I want to be able to play with these. I'm gonna turn the Chinese calendar on for now. Great. French Revolution. Okay. I'm gonna try Olympic. What is the Olympic? And the Roman. Cool. Icelandic. All right. So Zoroastrian. It's amazing. Folks who are making these things, like, thank you. Awesome. Restoring defaults. And that's display. Look, lunisolar. Whoa. Maybe I can create my own lunisolar, Mesoamerican. Oh, I can set where we are in the counts. And then about, right? And maybe even with links. If you use this in your publications, please cite. That's good to remember. Plugin based on Reingold's work. It looks like I could click on that and it's going to open up a web page and help me learn about these things. Great. Well, now when I open up the calendars again, see, the Chinese like gets pretty long, but look, you know, that's amazing. You know, if you've learned about the Chinese time, I'm sure you've learned about, you know, the animal of the year that I was born in the year of the rabbit, but it was also the Earth rabbit. Actually, I'm going to go to my birthday. I'm going to go to my birthplace. Although, you know, the way that most people do that system now, as long as it's the same time of the day, regardless of where you are, you're going to get the same bazi. Stop time. All right, so now I get to find out that I am the year of the tree, it says. Interesting. Female hare. I've heard that as earth rabbit. Okay, there's also wood rabbit, right, in the 5-element system. In cycle 77, whoa, I have no idea what that means. I need to learn. Okay, but I see that I'm born in the month of the fire dog. I'm born in the day of the interestingly, the water rabbit. And they're not giving me the hour, which is the 4th pillar. Right? Yeah. That's unfortunate. But anyway, how cool. Like for the day, that's great. I didn't even know that was an option in Stellarium. Loving it. Maya long count, Maya Hob. I'm glad that I can actually mess with the Hob dates. There's some different theories about how perhaps the Maya were or were not playing with leap year. 3 Manik in the Yucatec language. 3 deer. I know that to be the true Zolkin of my birth. But now I also get to see the Roman calendar. That's before the decimal point. It's kind of tricky to read those things. Oh, Octoberus. Olympic. Day 11th of month 10 in the year 3 of the 688th Olympiad. Is that like a Greek thing? Anyway, Egyptian. Ooh. Okay. Hebrew, Chinese solar terms. Cold dew. Wow. All right. So, I mean, you can see that I like to trip on those things. Perhaps you do too. If so, there you go. Other things that have since shown up. Here is this angular measurement tool that we've added. And you can see it comes with a keyboard shortcut. If you look over here, as I hover over it, angle measure, Command A, right? So I can go Command A and turn it on, or just simply click that and you can see that it's highlighted, which means it's on. Now, when I click and drag, oh, I'm no longer clicking and dragging because I click on one star like Altair, and now I can see how far it is in degrees and minutes from Famolo. Isabel's about to crash our party, by the way. This Stonehenge looking thing is archaeoastronomy lines, like the major lunar standstills and the minor lunar standstills. That's a huge deal. I'm just about to teach a seminar series. Actually, we just started on the lunar standstills. You can imagine I'll be using that. Sorry, honey, is your ear hurt? Yeah, are you making instructional videos right now? Okay, so we saw calendars here, navigational stars. All right, so story for another time. Here, observability, cool. So if I click on Jupiter, right, I have all this stuff selected. I left elongation on, but I don't have rising times and all that. Well, now I see that here, or do I? Oh, the heliacal rise and set, when Jupiter will first, or did first, become visible. And they're giving you a range, which is good. Acronical rise set, that's when the sun is opposite Jupiter, and we see Jupiter rising at sunset. Nights above the horizon, largest sun separation. That date in acronical rise better be very close to one another. So it's not showing me rising transit setting time for the day. It's showing me rising times for the year. In other words, when the sun conjoins Jupiter, the sun must pass Jupiter far enough by for Jupiter to rise and be born again as a morning star in the sunrise east. Izzy needs to go outside. I'm just going to hurry. Show window for online queries. Well, that's cool. Because like with Jupiter selected, I guess I can click Wikipedia. Oh, wow. And within Stellarium, Altair, Wikipedia on Altair. I just gotta let Izzy out. I'll be right back. What? That's amazing. I chased the cat. Good boy. Why don't you come say hello too? In video number 8, kind of interesting, introducing the cast of characters. Chase the cat, y'all. Okay, and then, Wikipedia. We can also go to Biblical Astronomy Co. Interesting. That, by the way, does not seem to have anything to do with the Bible. It's showing me different locations. Is Herschel, William Herschel, I'm sure that is, in his number and his star catalog system, etc. Ancient skies, that's what I'm talking about. What happens there? Data not found for Altair. What about for Jupiter at ancient skies? Not a star. True. Vega, ancient skies. Data not found. Looks like that one's not doing much for us. GCVS, I don't know what that is, but look, y'all can play in your own time, right? AAVSO, querying. Fantastic. That's totally new, loving it. About shows me what the online queries is doing. Cool. Hadn't ever seen that before. It's tempting me to update my Stellarium upstairs, but I heard they took a thing away that I really don't want to lose. Okay, we have one other new menu that popped up. Show coordinates of the mouse pointer, right? So as I click that, check this out. As I move around, see that orange bit in the upper right? Maybe I have to close my camera. It might be hiding that. But it's showing me right ascension and declination in my screen. And maybe I can configure that. One thing I just learned is that if I go back into the configuration window, and let's go to this at the very bottom-ish, we have pointer coordinates, configure. Maybe I can choose coordinates, ecliptic, longitude, and latitude. I'm loving that. Great. So there's other things I can change, including the color and whatnot. I'm going to save these settings. I love this idea of being able to move around and without even having to click on things, show the shifting zodiac degrees. Like right 0, I just got to 0 Aries. Okay, cool. And then I can, of course, with all the menu options, toggle that on and off through this menu button here. You can see there's no bracket after its show coordinates of the mouse pointer, which means it does not have a keyboard shortcut, but I might be able to set one up for it. Okay, finally, let's go to, I'm going to go now. The last one in a tab we skipped here is scripts. Usually I find that when I click one of these things, it takes me on some like huge journey. And then I usually have to like close my Stellarium or something. But like, look, transits of Venus, intriguing. I select that. It's close window when script runs. Well, I don't know what that thing does. Let's just hit play. Never look directly at the sun, friends. Okay, so it's kind of, we're in Sydney, maybe Australia. Sydney, Australia, as you can see, it's a sunrise in 2006 when Venus did actually transit the sun visibly. Never look directly at the sun without solar filters and whatnot. But yeah, twice in a lifetime, and we've had ours. They were in, no, they weren't in 2006. They were in 2004 and 2012 in the month of June. And in the sign of Gemini, Venus was seen visibly transiting the sun. Now, this thing's taken forever. Okay, but this is Venus that just came in to like actually be visibly seen transiting in front of the solar disk. One thing I'm wondering about is how do I stop this script now that it's running? I'm going to try ESC. That's not working. I'm clicking on the screen. That's not working. I'm like zooming out. I'm just like messing with things, I guess. I'm gonna hit play. So maybe I go into the configuration windows. Oh, here we go. So I can hit stop. Okay, and that's done. And then let me just like put my feet back on the ground. Okay. Anyway, you can see there's all of these different scripts you can play with. Um, astronomical morsels. Demonstration of the midtime of rare events, triple shadow phenomena of the satellites of Jupiter from 1900 to 2100. All events are given in dynamical time. Total lunar eclipse, etc. So have fun. All right, wow, we made it all the way through the configuration menu tabs. Amazing. That's a lot of information, long video here. Thanks for the present of your presence. If you would like to give anything back for what you are receiving here, head over to GeminiBrett.com and you can find my offerings there. There's a lot of free videos up more about the astrology side. You can find some of my courses and opportunity to connect with me directly for mentoring sessions, whatever it may be. But of course, with this open source software, I'm also happy to be offering some open source free instruction video of how to use Stellarium Planetarium software, and specifically geared towards the astrologer. So hopefully you're learning something here. We've got more menus to cover that get just like more and more information. We'll eventually get to keyboard shortcuts and like really learn how to drive Stellarium. But I'm gonna go either take a shower or get a haircut. I mean, hopefully both, you know? The Clash. See you in space, friends.